So today we'll be working on the psoas muscle. So let me go over a couple tools that you may want. Okay. So for today's practice, to explore the psoas, there's a couple of different options. I'm going to use the Courgeous ball, this kind of large, soft ball. But if you don't have this ball, a good alternative is a rolled up blanket, a kind of firm blanket or towel. Or you could roll up like a beach towel and double it, make it kind of short so it's stubby. Or you could roll up a yoga mat too, like a sleeping bag, fold it in half and then roll it up. That's a great option as well. And if you like, you could also use a foam roller, although I find the foam roller very hard. So I'm going to stay away from the foam roller for the most part, but it is an option for when I use these larger tools as well. And then we'll also do a little stretching or asana in today's practice. So if you have them, maybe having yoga blocks to place your hands on could be beneficial. But again, this is just optional. It is really nice to have though. So to begin today's practice, we're actually going to start, and then I'm going to use the alpha ball as well. After getting in with these larger tools, I'm going to get in with a smaller ball that's more direct. But if it causes any reaction, any guarding, just stay with the larger options. So today, it might seem contradictory, but I'm going to actually bring us into first a flexion posture. So to bring the psoas or hip flexors into a shortened position, kind of like taking the stretch off a rubber band. So releasing that rubber band and allowing it to come back to a shortened position so that you can regain normal resting length through these tissues. And this is also very helpful to get into the breathing because the psoas attaches right into the diaphragm. So for this first posture, we're going to come into an asana or a posture or a yoga pose. I'm going to sit on this blanket so that I can elevate my hips a little bit. You could sit on a stool. Yeah. And I'm going to come to a gentle butterfly. So to put the psoas in relaxation, we flex the hip to about 130 degrees and we bring it out slightly. And when we sit like this and fold forward and just let the head hang, it brings us right into that position. So just come into a gentle butterfly, a yin style butterfly, allowing the head to be heavy. You may even take a block to the forehead if you'd like, allowing the head to just drop and be heavy. And we're going to focus on the exhalation. I want you to think about breathing in up the back from the tailbone all the way up the spine over the crown of the head. And then the exhale cascades down the front body, bringing the ribs towards the belly. And this is going to shorten us through this whole front area, the diaphragm, the psoas, allowing things to come back to their normal resting length. So breathing up the back, over the top of the head, and then down, pulling the ribs towards the navel. We'll pause here for about a minute and a half. And as we move into this internal butterfly shape, more instead of a cocoon or a caterpillar. The caterpillar is actually this in, but kind of the caterpillar coming into that cocoon. We're moving inside, softening, letting go of any action, letting go of doing, and just beginning to rest in the sensation of the body. Listening to our body by taking in the sensation of where the body meets the floor. Observing any places of holding. Letting go of anywhere you may be holding. Releasing any doing or any working. And just allowing yourself to be as you are right now. And start to listen to the breath, feeling the breath rise up the back body and cascade down the front body. Letting go, turning inward in this internal listening posture, asking ourselves, what do we need as we move into this practice for the next 40 or so minutes? Taking 5 deep letting go breaths here. Exhaling through the mouth, maybe even sighing it out. And then gently roll yourself up. Bringing your hands to your knees, pull your knees together. And then to integrate this, let's bring the feet wide, hands behind, and just rock the knees side to side. And as the knees rock down to the right, you'll feel a little lengthening out through the front of the left hip flexor. And as the knees go to the left, the right hip extends, getting a little rocking in the right hip flexor. Moving gently just into that first point of resistance, not pushing past. And if you're not used to yin postures or long holds or stillness, you might feel a little achy. So allow the body just to come back to ease, moving gently and integrating the effects of that pose. And that was to soften the psoas, take the stretch out of that rubber band. And now we're gonna start to open it slowly. So if you missed my first introduction, I said I'm gonna be using the Courageous ball, but a rolled up blanket, foam roller, or you rolled up mat works really well. And take that prop, I'm gonna take the ball in this case, whatever you have, right to the belly. We're gonna go right into the abdomen. And we're gonna come up to our forearms to begin. And as you arrive here, stretch one foot back and then stretch back through the other heel, stretching the other foot back so that you can feel the tops of the thighs rest on the earth. It creates a little bit more length in the front of the hip. And then just arrive into the sensation of what you're feeling now. Notice if there's anywhere you're guarding, whether it's the jaw, the shoulders, the buttocks, Maybe even the belly is gripping and guarding. In case maybe you just rock the hips side to side, like you're in a little rocking chair or rocking a baby, doing a little self-soothing. And as we move into the psoas area, we're going to move slowly. I want you to be kind and curious as we explore one of the deepest portions of the body. Helps regulate our essential functions of breathing, connecting right into the diaphragm. So use your breath, breathing in, feeling the breath ascend up the back body, and then exhale, breathing out, letting the breath descend like a waterfall down the front body, creating this circular action with the breath. I call this breath waterfall breathing. Some people call it Ferris wheel breath. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's a breath to balance the rising and falling, the yin and yang energies. So inhaling up the back body, descending down the front body. Feel with each exhale, your body get a little heavier, descending towards the floor. Because as we're doing this work, we're moving inward, not outward. The psoas regulates how we hold ourselves in space, our posture. It tightens up in a reaction to fear and uncertainty. There may even be a feeling that in this time of COVID, in this time of racial inequality and assessing how we live in society, there might be a fear, there might be a tightening. So you might even notice that all of these uncertainties that we've been dealing with for as a society are actually impacting how you live in your own body. So as we approach the psoas, we need to move carefully and kindly because it's what holds the deep emotions, what holds us back, or what allows us to move forward. How we breathe, how we stand, and how we move. Taking 3 more breaths, allow your body to sink into whatever prop is there in the abdomen, softening the belly, softening the buttocks. Maybe sighing and letting go. What are you holding on to deep in your belly, deep in your core? And then you can stay here, or if it feels right, slide that prop down so it's more into the pelvis now. So now we've moved kind of from that middle belly area, that upper digestion area, more to the pelvic bowl. Your ball or your prop is right above the pubic bone now. And now you can stay on your forearms, or you can press up to your hands like a tripod, not pressing with the back or lifting with the back muscles, but allowing the back to hang heavy. Back relaxed, buttocks relaxed, legs heavy on the floor. Spreading the hands and pressing into the support of the ground beneath you. Rise up into a little bit more extension. Revealing the front body, starting to stretch and open through the psoas, open through the diaphragm. Let your heart lead the way. So lead with compassion for yourself, compassion for the world. Welcoming everything arising, not pushing things down. Giving yourself enough external support that you don't find yourself gripping, guarding, or running away from sensations. So find that just right edge. We're really using these yin yoga principles and these principles of self-inquiry as we go through this practice today. So welcome everything that's arising in the body, but also in the mind, allowing it all have a place to be here. Finding stillness, resting in what is, and when it feels safe, when it feels right, exploring it with kindness and curiosity and compassion. So as we do this work, it's really important to touch into the heart practices. They're often known as Maitri or Metta, Karuna. There's 4 heart practices in the Buddhist and yogic philosophy. So as we start to move into this area, it's important to really do so from a place of love. Not pushing, not striving to open, to change, to let go of or get rid of, but welcoming. Take 3 more full breaths here, welcoming whatever is with you right now. Using that ha or that sigh to continue to reside in the heart space. That ha is the sound seed of the heart. If you love sound or vibration, you could maybe say hum here if it feels right. And then letting go all the way back to your belly, moving slowly, letting your hands support your head, maybe gently rocking, feeling the sensation that remains, that rebounding effect. Allowing the posture to be integrated. It's important to let that wave of sensation that remains after the posture to move through the body. It takes about 90 seconds for a sensation to rise, unfold, and then to pass away. So giving your body that time to integrate it before rushing to the next thing. And now from here, we're going to come a little bit more to one side at a time. So I'm on the Courageous ball and I'm going to shift over to the right so that I'm on my left side. So I'm coming to my left side for a couple reasons. On the left side, we have our descending colon. So as we're massaging through that descending colon, which runs close to the psoas. The psoas actually runs over the colon. We're clearing the ends of the chain first, eliminating and letting go. So I'm going to bring the right arm up, right leg up like a kickstand, and you can stay with your Courageous ball. If you're needing a little more, you could go to your Alpha ball. You could also roll over your shoulder here. And we're just going to use the left foot and the forearms to pedal ourselves up and down. Give a little scrubbing to those internal areas of the body. And there's no right tool, and you don't even have to move. It could be if you only have a blanket, You may even get a little rocking side to side over the blanket on that left side if you're having difficulty rolling. And this would give you a little transverse massage. And if you like and have a ball, you can alpha ball. And as you rock into that alpha ball, it might be like you're strumming that psoas, moving the psoas inward, going side to side across the psoas, opposite direction of the way that it runs. And we often work it in that up and down way, but maybe see what happens if you try to strum and actually pick up and move the psoas with deep in the belly with your alpha ball. So that if you have the blanket, that's a nice tool here. Pausing if you get to a point of sensation. There may be a sensational point right around the crest of the pelvis where the iliacus and the psoas come together as you start to come into the pelvic bowl. Continue breathing deeply. If you find yourself guarding at all, coming back to stillness, back to the breath, feeling the breath move through the body. Breathing in particular into the left side. Feel the breath into the left lungs. Feel the left side of the diaphragm descend. Can you really feel how the breath is filling the left side of the body? Feeling the left ribs, left lungs expand. And then let's switch sides. Switching over, letting the left leg come up to the side now. You can either scrub up and down along the right side, and here we're getting the ascending colon a bit. And then as we scrubbed across, we get a little transverse colon. So we also are eliminating what we no longer need, eliminating what we're holding on to. Maybe it is that sensation of fear or not knowing or uncertainty. What are we holding on to? And then if you liked that rocking over, getting a little strumming of the psoas, you can do so with the gorgeous ball, or I'm going to come back to the alpha ball. Moving across, literally picking up and moving that hip flexor deep in the belly. As you come to a bigger tool, you'll really feel I can pick it up and move it inward, strumming it side to side, moving down to that space, that level right around the iliac crest, the crest of the pelvis, maybe feeling how at that level of the iliac crest, it starts to become a little less mobile. You might be a little stuck with the iliacus portion. Maybe finding stillness. Breathing now into the right side of the lungs, filling the right lung with breath. And then exhaling, feeling the recoiling, the sinking. Taking one more breath, then removing all of your props, returning to your belly, lying flat on your belly. Walking one foot out, then letting the top of your foot rest on the earth, and then walking the other foot out by pressing through your heel, feeling that hip space, that hip crease come down towards the earth, and then letting go into the floor. Feel the heaviness in the tops of the thighs, in the front of the pelvis. In the front of the ribs. An openness through the sides and backs of the lungs by breathing deeply. Using your breath today as your primary driver for release. The breath and our quality of breath and our energetics of breath is deeply tied to the state of our psoas. If you tend to hold your breath, most likely you tend to be holding in the psoas. So really allow those long, vocal, sighing exhales. Reminding yourself to let go of what you no longer need. And now we're going to come into a little stretching for the psoas. So I'm going to come towards the wall. So take a moment to find a wall. And I'm going to lie on my belly still, that same extension that we did. And I'm going to put my knees up on the wall now. So now I'm going to come with my feet up on the wall so that I'm starting to get a little quadricep opening. So the quads are superficial to the psoas, into that deep line or that myofascial line of the deep front line that the psoas rests in. But when the quads are tight, it also pulls us as well, and they're often intimately related. We tend to be short and tight in the front. And I'll give you a few variations and options for this. And if you loved the ball in your belly, you can come to the ball in your belly again. Or if it's too much in your belly, you may come to the ball in your lower ribs. You could even take the blanket here. Like I said, the ball is not even necessary. A blanket does just the same thing. Rolling it up, propping up the ribs or propping up the belly. Exploring the shape. This is like a supported bow pose, but the legs are doing all the work, kind of a restorative bow. And you could even prop up on your arms if that feels nice, but be really cautious of not compressing through the low back, not clenching through the glutes, but letting time and gravity do the work. So soften the body here. We'll get into a little work and more dynamic stretching of the psoas in a moment. See if you're clenching the butt. See if you're clenching the shoulders. Maybe the legs up like this doesn't work for you, and if that's too much, that's okay too. Meet yourself exactly where you are right now so that you can explore your own body, what lies deep inside. The events from your life, the emotions, the history that gives you your posturing, that orients how you present yourself and express yourself in the world. All of that lies here in this deep myofascial core of the psoas and the diaphragm. Maybe it feels nice even to bring your hands under your chin if you're propped up on your elbows. You can even do a little self myofascial release under your chin, getting around the hyoid bone. All of that area is associated. Maybe like make a little noise again. That's the benefit of being at home. You can do whatever feels right to make this your practice. Nothing has to be done. Just committing to spend this time with yourself, giving yourself exactly what you need in this moment. And then release the hands. And now I'm going to show you from here. We're going to come up into a low lunge type shape. And there's a couple options you can take. I'm going to bring the right leg forward towards a lizard type pose or a low lunge, Anjaneyasana, runner's lunge, whatever you want to call it. And I still have, let's see, which way do I need to go for you to, this way, for you to see that I have my back foot up still behind me. If that's too much, you can come off of the wall and just come to the lunge here, if that quad work is too much. You can also use blocks to help give you support as well. Blocks will actually make it a little bit more intense. If you put your elbows on it, will probably make it a little less intense. If you start to put your hands on it, it's going to bring you more upward, really getting deep into the adductor muscles, which join into the pelvic floor, which join into the psoas, which join into the diaphragm, coming up into the heart and lungs. So you play with whatever feels good for you right now. If you're having any struggle, let go of whatever you're doing. If you need any help, feel free to turn your camera on and I can give you some cues. But here, really let the pelvis fall. Let the pelvis be heavy. Feeling the deep opening through the hips, particularly the front of the left hip. First, finding stillness, finding your edge, making that sustainable so that there's no guarding, no fighting, no aversion, but a sense of curiosity to explore it more. You get to control that edge. That's when you become a student of your body and start to listen to that deep internal teacher, your internal wisdom, to what you need in your body right now. And when you need to feel a sense of internal support, come back to the breath. Feeling the breath rise up the back body and then cascade down the front body. The yang energy of the inhale coming up the back and the exhale of the yin energy, restorative energy, the exhalation moving inward, coming down the front. See if you can stay with that circle of breath for 5 more breaths, creating balance and sustainability in this posture. And who knows, you might even be coming all the way up. It's going to be different for every one of us in this moment right now. And then come back down, letting the right foot meet the left. Maybe it's towards like a modified hands and knees posture, or however you need to get there. And then switch sides. Taking your time to come into it. Moving slowly, listening to each sensation along the way. Feeling first the support of where your body's touching the earth or touching support. Feeling your left foot grounded, Right foot leaning into the wall or onto the floor. Right foot can be on the floor if that feels right for you. No need to bend the back leg. Hands on the floor on blocks. Feel all of the heaviness where you reach support. And then come back to that internal support of the breath, rising up the back body. Exhaling down the front body, staying with the breath. Inhaling from sacrum up the spine to crown of the head. And then exhale, cascading down, feeling the ribs pull towards the body, become heavy. Being curious but kind. If you find yourself guarding it all, come out a little bit. Or reset completely. And then gently move in. Feeling your first edge, that first speed bump. Then the next. Then the next, allowing this posture to completely unfold. Maybe bringing in some loving kindness. Can you draw a sensation of a smile in the chest, in the heart space, and on the face? Another heart practice is sympathetic joy. Maybe you can feel a sense of joy rising despite the circumstance, realizing that joy is independent of situation. Because this position's probably pulling you to your edge, into a place of probably discomfort. And how can you let go of the struggle and just welcome everything that's arising? Taking 3 more breaths wherever you are. Allow yourself to be with what is right now. And then we're going to really change positions. We're going to come all the way up to stand. We have 2 more things to do in this class today. This next part is going to be pretty dynamic. So I'm actually going to press my hands into the earth, press my left foot into the earth, and I'm going to just bring myself right up to a forward fold. Let my legs be soft, even get a little bounce. And like sway side to side, just letting go of that big stretch. After opening up, after expanding, find a moment of contraction. You can in this forward fold, or if it feels right, you may come to a low squat or move between the two. There's no right way, just integrating the effect of that, finding a way to return to balance. Listening to the internal teacher. Taking about 3 more breaths wherever you are. After that stillness, a little movement will feel nice. And then come to stand. Maybe shake out the legs. Little bounce. Moving from your authentic place. And now we'll come into a little bit more of a dynamic full body stretch. So we're coming towards a high lunge position, but I'm going to actually use momentum to help us with opening through the front line of the body. It's going to be like this. Start small, and you can make it bigger and a bit more dynamic, a bit more elastic as you go. So to start, I'm going to just do a little forward lunge, and my back leg for the so that I'm stretching through the front hip, from the front of the back hip. Then I'm going to swing the arms up as well. And I'm going to alternate sides. Inhale as I rise, exhale as I engage the core, come back to center. Inhale as I expand, and then exhale back to center. And if the stepping feels like too much, like if it's just hard for the balance, maybe you keep the legs still and you inhale and then exhale. Inhale, feeling the length from the back foot all the way up to the top hand. Stepping or staying still, finding a rhythmic motion, really moving smoothly. Getting a little glute activation here too in the back leg as you stabilize to integrate the change. Moving as big or little as you'd like, as quick or slow as you'd like. Oops. Do 2 more on each side. Let your gaze follow the hands upward. And relax. And just notice the difference. Find stillness for a minute. Feel the energy move through the arms, move through the torso. Feeling how to increase the work of breathing. Feel the expansion of the diaphragm with each breath. And just pause, allowing the body to return to ease. No rushing. And then we have exactly enough time for a really beautiful prolonged stretch now. And for this last stretch, we'll come to our backs. And I'm going to use a yoga block. You could use a Coregeous ball, but I find the Coregeous ball unstable, or you could use a foam roller or rolled up blanket. And we're going to do a supported bridge, a restorative type bridge pose. So I'm going to come onto my, first time on my back today with this. I'm sorry, it's stuck. That won't feel good. So on your back, bend the knees to start. Take the block underneath your pelvis. Feeling the pelvis supported. So the whole back, the whole sacrum, the whole triangular bone at the base of the spine. So you're not in the low back, but really in the back of the hips and right on the sacrum. Make sure whatever you have here is stable. Foam roller, block, blanket. And then now let one leg start to straighten out. Keeping the leg on the floor, only going as far as you can while the leg stays supported. Pausing here. First, observing how this feels. And then if it feels okay on the back, as long as there's no sensation of pain or pinching, you can let the other leg extend out as well. If this is too much, do one leg and then do the other leg. And then you'll soon be able to get to both. But if you've done this before, you may find that it was easier for you to come into both legs straightening because we already did so much work to get here. And then this is a beautiful option. You can pause here. And if you want to get into that deep line of the psoas diaphragm into the heart and lungs, Coming up even more, you can take your hands overhead. And I love to interlace my hands towards opposite elbows here. Maybe if you have one, maybe if you interlace your hands, you can even then switch that crossing of the arms coming into the unusual or the less dominant side. And then you get to just lie here, spending the next 2 minutes opening completely, letting go completely, letting the benefits of this practice unfold in your body, in your breath, in your mind, and even in your heart. Let go of any doing. Just rest in the now, in the being of now, allowing whatever needs to arise to arise. Taking your last few breaths here, finishing when you feel complete. One leg up. It may even slide out to the side, kind of like a butterfly wing or frog leg as it comes back up. And then engage the belly gently to lift the hips, allowing the back to rest completely on the ground. Pause for a moment here, maybe even let the knees knock if that feels good in the low back. Allowing everything to settle. Then take your time, roll to the side. Pause on your side, feeling the support of the earth as external support, and then rising up with an inhale, feeling the breath give you internal support. And we'll finish in sitting just as we began. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure having all of you be able to lead these practices together.